Welcome everyone to a new video. Today we'll be going over the native basics. It's going to be an interesting video. I mostly go over how to get started as a native in the game and what to do to survive. Oftentimes as a native you have to go hunting, which you'll see a lot of throughout this video. I also meme on a little bit of it because colonists do actively try to kill you. As a native, it is recommended that it is kind of a hardcore mode. This is because it is extremely difficult to make crafts as well as weapons. However, it can have extreme benefits of being a great class to be using. To begin with the understanding of the native team is against the British, the colonists, and typically the French as well. Even though they are closer to them in-game does not mean they have a closer relation, of course. Obviously, throughout the game, the natives are often kind of persecuted within the game and are pretty much killing a lot. So very oftentimes you're going to have a more of a combatant side if you are going to play as a native. However, just be prepared for people to be actively trying to kill you. Notably, this was the second time I ever played as a native within the New World, and basically I had pretty much nothing, so throughout the video I try to get towards a goal of having everything, or at least the appearance of what I have as a colonist, as what I got from a native. So throughout the video you're actively going to see me hunting, and pretty much just grinding money up a little bit, and basically just playing the game throughout as a native, and I'll be going over analytics of what a native does, and also how they play the game, including crafts and other useful tips if you are ever going to play the game as a native. One of my highest recommendations to a new player, as what I'm doing now, is of course warming up. When you warm up, you've got a better chance of living. Of course, chopping down trees, following this is a great idea as well, as you should probably get your supplies anywhere from arrows, to bows, to hunting knives, to pretty much bandages are just completely readily available for you to be able to craft as a native. So obviously take advantage of this, you're able to hunt easily, and on top of that you're able to do what you need to do in the game. A quick amendment to something that I was actually going to touch note on is that I noticed they did update cooked meat to be worth more than raw meat in the general store, so when you're selling meat, cook it now, by the way. In my economics video I mentioned something different on that, and that the raw meat was at the time worth a little bit more. Now the cooked meat is slightly more valuable. Moving forwards, going into the hunting part of the game, you absolutely need certain types of furs. For example, it'll say fur any type on a lot of crafts, meaning that you do have to have either 6 rabbit furs, 6 elk, deer, or beaver furs to basically create what is a hide knapsack. This is the first step into getting into the game, of course, because you spawn without a knapsack, and getting a little bit of extra room in your backpack is one of the greatest things that you can have, or your inventory basically, because from that you're going to be able to survive a little bit longer by having more materials, more bandages, and basically whatever else you need, including ammunition or guns. So oftentimes getting that is a great idea. So very shortly I will be grinding to get this, and I will be killing a couple animals to get that as well. Now notably when I spawned in I crafted 3 things. I actually already had one of them, the hunting bow, but I did craft a hunting knife, I got a torch, and I was sure to make quite a few arrows. So obviously what you need, just the basics of hunting, is a hunting bow, a handful of arrows, a hunting knife, and a torch, because when you're just starting out as a native, you'll lose 50 warmth on snow if you just have the basics. So obviously that torch is just going to keep that warmth level a little bit longer. Warmth when it's depleted does not kill you, but it does make you move slower by about 60 to 70%, so I don't highly recommend it. Of course, I am shooting an animal at the time, and what I'm trying to do is collect a certain amount of deer fur, as I noticed that your daily login is 2 deer fur, and of course a handful of apples when you are a native. So you obviously are able to collect more deer fur faster, so obviously go for the deer, which is this. Another highly recommended thing from me is the fact that you should possibly, and I will be doing this, create a campfire alongside picking up the meat after you have the wood, as wood weighs a decent amount, tree logs. You should create the campfire first. If you don't already have your knapsack in the game just starting out, create the campfire first to get your warmth back. As you see, it's already becoming depleted after only 3 to 4 minutes of basically hunting because of the amount that you lose off the bat. I wanted to kill another deer, obviously, as this would create my hide knapsack, as now I am up to 5 deer fur, which is quite useful, of course. So from that, once I'm able to create both of those, I will be able to first off have food, and then also on top of that a knapsack, which is extremely useful in my scenario from my standpoint into the game. And as I picked up the final deer fur, I was able to craft, of course, a hide knapsack, which doubled the amount of inventory space that I was able to hold, moving it from 30 space to 60, which is a basic upgrade and took me less than 5 minutes in the game to create off of the spawn. Of course, you should actively do this. If you are new to the game, I recommend making a knapsack, gradually going to the bay, which you'll see me do later, buy a large knapsack there for 500 pounds, and then later on go back to the illegal dealer and get one for 1,000. So basically it's just a grind up until that, unless you are going to be buying the Robux items. Now I'll be going over strategies. Of course, as you see, my warmth is low. I planned for this, and I will be creating a campfire, of course, and a light strategy to show you guys how to maximize how much warmth you're going to get to be moving throughout the frontier a little bit faster as a basic native. As I collected enough wood, I created a campfire, and actually standing on the campfire, stupidly enough, does actually put you on what is considered terrain. And in terrain and not snow, you get 30 more warmth. Of course, this looks like something else we won't mention, but it is absolutely fine. Don't worry about it. Fire does not harm you in the game. And also, if you put your torch on at the exact same time, you can gain up to 100 warmth, as I am now, on top of possibly gaining even more if you already have clothing such as a bandana, a hat, or a different type of tribal uniform other than the one I am currently wearing, which is the basic uniform. Sometimes it can be very impatient waiting for roughly 2 to 3 minutes to entirely warm up your bar again, but once that is entirely full, you'll have much more time as you don't lose warmth as readily as you can gain it from that, and of course crafting a torch to benefit you as well on that fire is very, very useful because it'll provide you more for the game. Obviously, I was collecting more wood to create arrows, and when I'm able to create more arrows, then I'm able to hunt for more, and now because I have this hide knapsack, there is more room in my backpack to get more. My pain is immeasurable, and my day is ruined. However, I was finally able to get the deer, and of course, I did get the fur, and of course, one meat out of this deer, and of that, it'll provide me with roughly 80 more pounds to be able to sell in the general store back in the bay. Of course, at the moment, the Halifax Bay area is a safe zone for natives, so I would recommend going there, of course, to trade. And there are, I believe at the moment, 3 to 4 open entrances there, so you will be able, of course, to get in very easily, and as I'm doing now, I am hunting to go be able to sell those and get a large knapsack, or, of course, a knapsack that'll be larger than the one I currently have, which is hide and is the second smallest knapsack, over the small knapsack, which only holds 50. Which is a colonist knapsack sold in the general store for 250 pounds. Of course, as I gained a little bit and had a little bit of money on me, I was able to meet the illegal dealer as to where I bought a faction scarf from. I went back and was actually able to buy a little bit more, considered selling my stuff but decided against too much of it, and in return bought a little bit more from the store. So I did cook up all of my meat, knowing that it would sell for more in the general store once I get to the bay, and did buy a couple of arrows just in case I wanted anything more, and of course bread and bandages. So moving forwards into the Halifax Safe Zone Bay area. This place has multiple entrances, as you can see, to right in front of me. And from these I entered one, of course, and as I entered the bay, I knew that I would be grinding a little bit and would immediately go to the general store to sell what I currently had. The more inventory spaces that you have open while you are actually hunting, as well as lumber felling and making crossbows for the most possible money in the bay, the better you will do. So of course, you want to immediately empty your inventory by either putting your items into a bank chest or selling them in the general store for as much money as possible. Once you've done this, you should probably get to lumber felling if you do not have a lot of money. As natives can still create crossbows, it is highly recommended that you create crossbows as well, and try to sell them in the general store for 75 pounds each. This price never increases or drops, so I would highly recommend doing this as it is the current fastest way to make money in the game, and I would of course want to do this because it would be quite profitable. Even as a native, of course, in the bay, it is not exactly the ideal situation for a native to be doing this, but if you do want to get your early clothing, your lantern, your spyglass, your compass, every other permanent item that you kind of want in the game, it is generally a good idea to be grinding up a little bit of money, and then from there, keep moving forwards. As I ground up enough wood, I was able to buy a little bit of extra ammo, bought myself a dual pistol, alongside many other things within the game. From this, I was able to finally gather some materials and actually have some defense to myself alongside if I wanted to continue hunting in the game. I chose against this and actually decided, of course, to buy myself the clothing in the game, and as you can see from at this point, as I skipped a little bit, I did buy myself the basic clothing that I normally have in a video. From the entirety of this, it only cost me roughly 700 pounds to do this, and after about 20 minutes of grinding trees and hunting, I was able to get these. Obviously, by playing the game only 30 to 40 minutes at this point, it does show that there is a possibility of making a large quantity of both money and wealth within the game in a short period of time, including items, so I would recommend using some of the methods I've mentioned in previous videos. Saving money as a native shouldn't be a high concern for them because they can gradually craft most of what is necessary for a war scenario even. A battlefront can be entirely supplied by a singular native for about 20 to 30 people within only about an hour to an hour and a half of them grinding logs and furs within the current frontier, meaning that you could supply 20 to 30 people in just that short period of time, based off of how fast natives have that ability to craft items and how easy it is for them to at least make hunting bows, longbows, short bows, and other things in the game that are worth a decent amount of money and also can provide for a large amount of warfare or PvP combat. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it a ton. We're going to be live every single day at 8 p.m. EST in the New World, and you guys are more than welcome to watch over on Twitch at Yacker Official if you guys want to go follow that. You're also welcome to join my Discord or the game's main Discord linked in the description of the video below. I'd appreciate that a ton. Thank you guys for watching once again, and I'll see you guys next time.